Welcome comrades to a 1v1 online battle. Got a bunch of things I want to talk about today. I thought we could do that over an online battle. I prefer to do that rather than make like a news video or announcement video or something, because I think they're kind of dumb. I can at least give you a sweet online battle to watch. So I'm playing as the dwarves. Or am I? Where are they? Oh, there they are. Lost my dwarves for a second there. They're that small. So my front line, we'll go through the armies first of all. My front line is comprised of dwarf warriors with great weapons. I'm expecting my opponent to bring great swords because that's typically what you want to bring against dwarves because you don't have much armor piercing infantry choices. Behind them I have a couple of longbeards for my non-armor piercing needs should they have all swordsmen or something. Then on the flanks I've got longbeards with great weapons backed by thunderers. I've got that on both sides, left and right. And if you've seen my Dwarf Anti-Cav video you may start to recognise this build. Got one unit of Slayers, they are the Dragonback Slayers though, so they're great for slowing down enemy cavalries. Got a brutal organ gun of course, great for destroying cavalries and pretty much everything. Got a Runesmith there as well and some Quarrelers, and my general is good old Ungrim Iron Fist, the ginger mohawked psychopath himself. So that's my army, I think. Am I missing anything? Yes I am. There's some gyrocopters somewhere. Where are they? Over here? Over here. So I put them over here to make him think I was kind of over there. I wasn't sure if he bought it. These are just regular cheap old gyrocopters because the way I positioned my army, I put them behind the hill so we couldn't actually see where they were. So I thought if I put those gyrocopters over there, he'd think I was over there and start marching towards it. But he's playing a very defensive game, just sat up on this hill. So his front line is comprised entirely of halberdiers. Now you might think, if you don't know, that's a weird choice because they're an anti-large unit typically. But they're actually armor piercing. So it makes them pretty good against lower tier dwarves. They do have a lot of melee defense, they've got an alright amount of melee attack, they've got pretty high leadership. So against those lower tier dwarf warriors and stuff, they do pretty well. And he's got 4 or 5 units of those. And that is his main infantry killing force, but he does have a couple of units of great swords, who are of course the best ones to take down dwarves as they are armor piercing and heavily armored themselves. But he's only got 2 units of them. Does have some crossbowmen, which is a little bit of a questionable choice because they really need the armor piercing like the handgunners. Probably should have bought 2 units of handgunners if he could have afforded it. And he's got a witch hunter as well, which is another curious decision. Because he does have armor-piercing missiles, but honestly, he's not the greatest damage dealer of sorts. The money you spend on him could probably be better spent. He also has Balthazar Gelt, which a lot of people seem to bring as the Empire recently, which is, against the dwarves, another curious decision, because they have a resistance to magic. But he may use him just above his troops. He also has a great cannon, fully upgraded. He must be planning to get some good use out of this if he spent all the money upgrading it. But that's his artillery choice. And I think that's most of his army. Just the cavalry left, which is 2 units of Demigryph Knights with halberds. Now, what's wrong with that? Does anybody know? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you know. That's right, they've got halberds. They don't need halberds. Halberds are for anti-large. Dwarfs have no large, so he would have been better off bringing the other version of the Demigryphs because they have a higher armor-piercing damage and they have a few better stats all round. So, a few bad decisions there, but overall not a bad dwarf-killing army. He's got lots of armor-piercing units, and that's what's important. I'm just going to start moving up now though, as he's not coming to me. I'm using my gyrocopters to try and scout around just to make sure there's no hidden cavalries anywhere or anything. And I'm also going to secretly trying to get after his artillery, but have to be careful. He does have some skirmishers in front of it, watching me and turning to face my gyrocopters at all times. Going to start to come into range now. Anyway, first thing I want to talk about in this video, you may have seen my Dwarf Anti-Cav video. And there was a lot of people saying that, oh, this is great against the AI, but it doesn't work against human players. So naturally, I set out to prove all you bastards wrong. However, I haven't really been able to do that. I'm going to drop off some bombs here quickly. Get that artillery, snuck those in. He didn't see them with his skirmishers, so I managed to sneak them in there. I think I'm going to do it again as well. Who am I going to bomb? I'm going to get those handgunners. Give them a nice little bombing. Knock off a good bit of their health, killed a few of them. Anyway, so I've played maybe 20 or so online battles as the dwarves, trying to test out my cavalry tactics. And you know what I found? The average amount of cavalry that people bring is about 1 to 2 units. People don't bring much cavalry against the dwarves for some reason. One guy brought about 6, but he was the greenskins, so they were quite lightly armoured and weren't great. The 2 of them were goblin wolf riders, who are near useless against dwarves. But yeah, really bizarre. The dwarf's biggest weakness, and people don't try to capitalise on it for some reason. Maybe it's the micromanagement that comes with cavalry. I don't know. I played different level players. I played some bad players. I played some good players. Did I play any top level players? Maybe not. I don't know. I managed to win about 3/4 of those fights with pretty much the same army build as I have in this one. And the fights that I did lose, it wasn't down to being overrun by cavalry, because no one really bought that much cavalry. In 20 fights, honestly, no one really tried to flank me with cavalry. It's just mind-blowing, really. So I'm still trying to test out my tactics against human players. What I may do is just play some friends and tell them to come at me with cavalry and flank me as hard as they can, and we'll see what I can do. But people saying that the tactics just blindly don't work is completely false and stupid. Yes, it is going to be a lot harder to make them work against a human player, but all the things still stand. An organ gun is still going to shred cavalry on or offline. As you can see here with these demigryphs, who've just started moving, this one's down to half health, as I've been hammering it with my organ gun from afar. Longbeards with a charge defense will block cavalry, should they be charged into, and then the slayers can get into them. So you're protecting slayers, that's a good idea, online, offline, whatever. Heroes can be tossed in front of charges and they can take it on the face and it's fine. You've stopped a charge and your hero doesn't really take any damage. That works on or offline. So all the things are applicable in both. Of course, it is harder online, but it still works. I have used that sort of thing before and it's worked just fine. Unfortunately, now that I've played 20 battles, I can't get any footage of it to save my life. But that's just the online community for you. Seemingly don't want to use cavalry against dwarves, strangely. Back to the battle though. He's charged his demigryphs in. One of them's routing from all the fire I've given them. I'm about to sneak my slayers up on him and pin him in there. Got my quarrelers having a skirmish with the enemy missile units, the handgunners. Balthazar Gelt chilling out there. All across the front line, dwarf warriors and halberdiers throwing down. I pull a cheeky little trick here by moving my thunderers out to make them look vulnerable and alone. I put them on skirmish. I thought they'd get more shots off there before they ran away. So the idea is to make it look like a mistake. And they're like, oh no, we're unprotected, please don't hurt us. And they start running away. And these greatswords, who have about the same speed, start pursuing them. Thinking, yeah, there's some easy kills, some missile units. But little does he realise, he's opened himself up to my organ gun. And he's in the open field, which just makes him a laughably easy target. And this nice fresh shiny unit of greatswords gets thoroughly battered by the organ gun. Down to half health pretty much. And now they're the ones that are very, very exposed. One dwarf gets caught there, one thunderer gets caught, and they all come back to try and save him, quite annoyingly. Try to pull them away again, because obviously I don't really want them fighting greatswords, but they are kind of a sacrifice. Like, I'm aware they could catch them. But the greatswords are one of the most dangerous units to me, so if I can get rid of one of them, because he's only got 2 units of them, if I get rid of one, cool, that helps a lot. Demigryph's getting quite hammered by the slayers, he's trying to pull them through, but they're just caught up and surrounded. Battle's still pretty even though, his halberds have been putting up a good fight. Demigryphs weren't used very well at all, so he's kind of squandered them. The battle rages on though. Next piece of news is obviously what everyone's heard about. Total War Warhammer 2 has been announced. It should be awesome, I'm looking forward to it. We got our Dark Elves, we got our High Elves, we got our Lizard Men, we got probably the Skaven, even though they're not really saying it. Although maybe they're DLC faction and there's another one they haven't told us about. Who knows? It's all very exciting, but it should be pretty cool, especially if they mix them together in this mega campaign that they're apparently doing. All stands to be pretty amazing. Which brings me to my next point, as I've been getting a lot of requests to do faction army guides for the base game factions, and I was questioning whether I'd do it or not, or whether I'd have time to do it before the next game comes out. And I'm going to guess that Warhammer 2 is probably going to come out around September, October time, because that's normally the time when games come out. So that should give me about 5 or 6 months to get the rest of the faction guides done, and so I'm confirming that I am going to definitely do them. They're going to be in a slightly different format to the previous ones for the DLC factions. I'm going to condense them down so it's only one part. Some things will get cut out, I'll do other things differently, but it should still come as a nice package to help you understand the factions, because I'd like to do, of course, all the factions for all the Warhammer games, all the trilogy, all the factions, all with faction guides. That would be awesome. Obviously a hell of a lot of work, that's why I want the time to be able to do it. I don't want to be rushing them and then give you a rushed product. So 5 months should be more than enough time for me to at least hammer out one of these guides one a month. So I've still got the Chaos to cover, Dwarves, Greenskins, Empire, and Vampires. Nearly forgot them there. See, this is why Balthazar Gelt is not a great choice against the Dwarves. He can't fight any of their lords or heroes. He's fighting the Runesmith there and he's losing. The Runesmith, the freaking Runesmith. Can't handle it. So I'll be getting to work on the first faction army guide for the base game factions very soon. I'm just in the process of upgrading my computer. Just waiting on a few new parts to come in the post. And then once that's all sorted, I shall begin work on the first guide. And I think that is about all I wanted to talk about. The battle has gone heavily in my favour. My dwarf warriors have chewed through his halberdiers. A few demigryphs still running around causing problems, but slayers will finish them off post-haste. But the big question now, for everyone, and me included, is who are we all going to play as when Warhammer 2 drops? Are you going High Elves, are you going Dark Elves, are you going Lizard Men? Are you going to wait to see what the other one is? Who are you going for? Let me know. For my first Warhammer 2 campaign, I'm still deciding what to do, because I've already done an Elven campaign, so I don't really want to be the Elves, but then I don't want to be the Lizard Men, because I feel that's what everyone else is going to be, and all the other YouTubers will be covering the Lizard Men first. I don't do bandwagons, so I'll wait to see what the fourth faction is, and hope it's someone freaking cool, if there is one. But this young whippersnapper has been overrun for a Pyrrhic victory from my dwarves. Oddly though, you can see we had about the same amount of troops deployed, but his troops got a lot more kills than mine did really. He's got some quite high kill numbers, especially these halberdiers. You can see they did pretty good against the dwarves. It's just his demigryphs that let him down. And then my dwarf warriors didn't really do fantastically. None of them really did. It's kind of more of a group effort on my side. But more my flanking units and exterior units, my gyrocopters and organ gun did more of the damage than my interior front line and stuff. So yeah, a cool little battle overall, but this is the type of thing I've been facing in a lot of these online battles when I've been trying to get the footage for a Dwarf Anti-Cav online video. People just not trying to take advantage of the dwarves' biggest weakness, and instead trying to face them at their strength, which is a straight up melee fight. So people, if you're not using cavalry against the dwarves online, start doing it, because they are very useful and very hard for the dwarves to deal with. This guy had 2 units of Demigryph Knights, didn't really do anything with them. Could have charged them around the back into my dwarf warriors, he had the opportunity there. It was really the only way those halberdiers were going to have a chance against all my dwarves. And those greatswords running off after my thunderers, really no need for them to do that. He could have flanked round with those greatswords and helped out all his halberdiers, would have helped the front line win. I didn't really do anything spectacular, a few little tactics that I pulled, but mostly I was just assigning the right matchups, and that's how I got the win. So this guy made a pretty good army to beat the dwarves, but he just didn't seem to know how to use it. And he mismanaged his cavalry, which got them half dead before they even reached the fight, and it was all a bit of a mess. But this is actually one of the better battles from the 20 that I played. That's kind of saying something, I think, because it wasn't the best battle in the world, I'll be honest. And I've been trying to get a really decent close fight where someone uses a lot of cavalry on me and I have to defend it, but I just cannot seem to get that fight. So this will have to do for now until I can get that fight, and I will show you once I eventually do. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the future, yo.